This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Coming up on The South today, we find out why an Australian artist has been arranging some of Dunedin's school pupils into a large group. An annual rally is about to stop at a new but old location for the first time in almost 50 years. And one of Queenstown's main wineries plans to expand to keep up with visitor demand. Good evening, I'm Rebecca Dupree. An Australian conceptual artist is in the country, encouraging people to walk at 1,800 kilometres per minute while standing still. He's been trialling the space-themed stunt at King's High School, arranging dozens of pupils in a large group. And the work is going to add to an upcoming art festival.
Standing still, but still travelling. These 60 King's High School pupils are technically moving at 1,800 kilometres a minute, relative to the sun. They became part of an international artwork on the school's #1 rugby ground this afternoon, under the guidance of Australian artist John Reid.
There are special environmental significances of actually doing the solar walk here at King's, because this was all flooded a year ago. And so these are sort of like signs of the sorts of impacts that climate change will have on our lives. And so I think the community here at St Clair have already experienced something of what we can expect.
Reid is an Emeritus Fellow at the Australian National University in Canberra. He arranged the Year 10 pupils before his colleague and photographer Marzina Vasikova captured the images. She's travelling with the environmental artist, documenting his solar system walks, like this one in Dunedin.
So John works out the layout of the participants, and then we correct that in relation to the perspective and the lens that I might be using. There's a vanishing perspective and an overlapping factor that we need to consider.
The King's Gathering is the only group-based event the artists are organising in New Zealand. 2 of the 60 pupils who were keen to be part of the artwork were also happy to share their experiences with The South today.
I was going to plan on having the day off because I'm a bit nervous, but everyone else said they were doing it, so I just thought I might as well come along and, yeah, took part.
I guess in a way it's sort of like honouring, because if they chose just, us, just little old me from King's High School.
Reid says the resulting images from today will appear on his webpage and Facebook account. A mural-sized print will also be exhibited at the Dunedin School of Arts Symposium next month. Daryl Baser, The South Today.
A Dunedin man has led the New Zealand surf lifesaving team to global victory at the World Championships in Europe. The Black Finns are the first Kiwi surf lifesaving team to win 3 consecutive World Championship titles. Team captain Andrew McMillan of the St Clair Club said he's ecstatic about the result.
We were keeping an eye on the points a lot, and at one point we were down, one point we were up, and I think going into the Taplins we were even, so it all really came down to the last race, and we managed to hang tight and do it for each other and get across the line.
The 12-strong Black Finns comprise 6 men and 6 women from around the country. They've been competing in the Netherlands against teams from about 40 other nations. The Life-Saving World Championships are held every 2 years. The annual Silver Fern Rally is stopping in Gore this year for the first time since 1969. Just over 40 cars are registered to compete in the event, which begins and ends in Christchurch. And the change is motivating at least one driver to join the starting lineup.
Preparing for his next race. Gore rally driver Derek Asen is excited about making his Silver Fern Rally debut in his hometown. He'll be one of almost 100 drivers and co-drivers taking part in the event, in which Gore is featuring more prominently this year.
First time I've ever entered. We've watched it quite a few times, and this year we decided it's time to have a go ourselves.
Asen has a 6-person team, including a co-driver and a 2-car support crew. For the first time in more than 4 decades, Gore will be the 3rd overnight stop in the week-long rally. Asen says although there are some tough competitors among the entrants, he feels he has as good a chance as any.
There'll be Vince Bristow, he's very fast. A few of the overseas guys are very quick and have won the event before. Some of our locals, Jeff Judd, Brian Stokes, those guys, they're pretty fast as well. So the good thing with the Silver Fern Rally, it's all two-wheel drive cars, so everyone's pretty even, so it makes it pretty fair.
Drivers, organisers and supporters will be staying in Gore for the night of December the 1st, once the rallies pass through Oamaru and Dunedin. They'll then be travelling back to Dunedin before continuing on to Timaru and the Christchurch finish line. Asen says he's expecting a good crowd to greet the drivers as they journey through the closed back streets of Gore.
Yeah, if the day's nice, there's a lot of people out watching it, and it's pretty cool. I mean, to have people sort of cheering on, and particularly being local as well, I'd expect there'll be quite a few people out watching.
To date, there are 42 teams entered in the race. The event's giving both Asen and the town of Gore an opportunity to make a big impression. Jack Conroy, The South Today.
Dunedin's Syrian refugees are benefiting from the donation of 23 computers from Otago Polytechnic. The institution's College of Enterprise and Development had the spare computers in storage. Staff member Hamish Smith came up with the idea of refurbishing the machines and giving them to refugee families through the Red Cross. He says basic operating systems were installed in the computers, which are now in refugee homes. Red Cross staff determined which families were most in need of the technology. The wider Queenstown area is experiencing solid visitor growth, with more people taking in its scenery and attractions. The increase has spurred one of the area's main wineries to re-evaluate its facilities, and its proprietor believes an expansion will help in keeping up with demand.
Building on a solid foundation. The well-established Gibston Valley Winery is undertaking several major projects to cement its place in Queenstown's future tourism market. The winery's chief executive says this early work is part of a bigger multi-million-dollar development.
Over the last few years we've concentrated on items such as building a new winery and putting in place a team that has now given us the opportunity to start making physical changes, and this year I'm excited to say that we are putting in a new administration building so our team can have good offices.
Hunt says in the years to come the facility will also provide lodge-style accommodation. However, he's keen to have other projects up to scratch first.
And then we're putting in new restaurant facilities and outdoor facilities to improve the experience for our guests. And I wanted to get those completed before we moved on to the next stage, which was the construction of our cottages and our lodge, because I wanted to make sure that the winery was at the level of expectation of our guests when they came to stay with us.
Hunt says the business has secured the services of local architect Michael Wyatt to design the lodge and 30 cottages. He says the overall development has a price tag in the tens of millions of dollars. And there's no concrete deadline in place as yet. Daryl Baser, The South Today.
Still to come on The South Today, we meet another of Dunedin's mayoral candidates, and a fisherman takes drastic action to get off a burning boat.
Silberhorn's Collagen Plus naturally supports your collagen levels, giving you younger, firmer-looking skin, healthier, shinier hair and stronger nails. Be quick, buy one now and get a second pack half price. Call 0800 502 402.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Wooltech have the experience and the expertise to supply a wide range of high-quality New Zealand-made products and can manufacture customised products to meet your individual requirements. Wooltech, great people, great products, great service.
We need your help to rebuild our animal centre urgently. Please give a little today.
Hi, my name is Ronald Fong. I believe that together we can build a brighter future for Dunedin. I'm presenting two major infrastructure proposals that won't cost the ratepayer a single cent. The first is a flood protection scheme for South Dunedin based on successfully used displacement tent systems overseas. The second is a major new redevelopment of our Harbourside area to create a world-class community space. Vote Ronald Fong, and let's build a brighter future together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Yardley and I'm standing for the Otago Regional Council. Two of Otago's greatest resources are our outstanding natural landscape and our capability for agriculture. Getting the balance right between preservation of that landscape and intensification of farming is a real challenge. To meet that challenge, we need a firm understanding of both our environment and our land-based businesses. I have that understanding to ensure that our landscape and farming can coexist in harmony for generations to come. A vote for Dave Yardley is a vote for reason, balance and integrity.
Hi, I'm Doug Hall. I stood for council in the 2013 election and got elected. The achievements I've been part of in the last 3 years have been of a great benefit to Dunedin City. Reducing debt, improving contracts and better liaison with the general public. To further reduce debt and better management of all contracts. Vote Doug Hall, first choice for council.
Hi, I'm Dave Cole, Mayor of Dunedin, and together we're building a great city, not just for now, but for the future. And I'm committed to creating a positive legacy of sensible investments, sustainable businesses, an emphasis on infrastructure and environment, healthier homes, and your community well-being. A future our kids can be really proud to inherit. If you want the same positive future, please mark 1 for Dave Cole for Mayor and return your voting form. Thanks.
Welcome back. Well, tonight we continue our interviews of Dunedin's mayoral candidates, and this evening we're joined by Barry Timmins. Good evening. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Rebecca.
How long have you lived in Dunedin?
Born and bred in Dunedin, so pretty much here all of my life, apart from a couple of lapses overseas. So when I left school, I went into the Air Force to do pilot and officer training with the Royal New Zealand Air Force, and ended up in a military academy in Australia. And that was a great learning experience, particularly around sort of leadership and in a fairly structured environment. And then left the Air Force to pursue a career in business. And so did a commerce degree at Otago, majoring in accounting, and then I've worked for 20 years with professional services firms here in Dunedin, as well as a couple of years overseas, based in Vancouver in the mid-90s, but worked sort of all around America and Canada. So I've been in Miami, New York, Boston, Las Vegas of all places. So yeah, quite varied experience. And then my wife Jude and I, we came back to Dunedin in '97 to start a family, and really to sort of develop perhaps a more stable long-term career, I suppose. So yeah, been here through that time, and since then I'm now in my own accounting practice. So I've got a couple of staff, and Jude and I also own a couple of other businesses in Dunedin, a couple of restaurants, and so across those 3 businesses we probably employ 30 staff.
Why are you running for mayor?
Well, I've got the skills that I believe the city really needs right now, and those are financial and business skills. So a commercial, commercial experience that's been based off that 25 years of business experience, both working with other businesses, working for these large firms, as well as working in my own practice and businesses. So that's number 1. So business and financial skills, which I think we definitely need. The second one are skills around leadership and governance. And so I've been a director, a member of the Institute of Directors for probably 15 years, and have done their governance development programs and chairing the board programs. So second one, leadership and governance. And thirdly, this often sounds a little bit sort of vague and fuzzy, but it's really about the ability to think strategically and think about the future. And in this situation, think about the future of the city, as well as the future of council. Make sure we make the right decisions.
What do you think are the top 2 issues facing the city?
Well, at a headline level, they're really about the quality of decision making that goes on in council and the performance that flows from that. And secondly, how we're approaching making progress. And I appreciate that they're quite high-level comments. So just to be a little bit more specific, around the quality of decision-making, there's obvious issues around South Dunedin, and I think there's a real need to make some finer distinctions in terms of those issues so that we're not lumping a number of issues such as contract specification around maintenance, such as roading levels building up over time, sort of lumping them in with a sort of an uncontrollable sea level rise, which is happening. Sea level's gone up 16 centimetres in the last 100 years, so it is happening, and it's going to continue to happen. And just being mindful that, as well as those two issues, there's in the Chief Executive's pre-election report, she talks about a backlog of spend on infrastructure, and so it will be important that we don't lump all three of those issues into one coverall under sea level rise. So those sorts of issues are examples of things that we've actually got to make good decisions on, and there's a few other ones lurking around. A couple of my staff did a school trip out to the landfill recently, and apparently that's got 6 years left to run, and it might take 9 years to get a consent for a new one. So it would be unfortunate if we end up in a position where we can't make good decisions around what we should do there and end up, say, potentially having convoys of rubbish trucks driving to Southland with our rubbish every week. So really important to make decisions. So that's issue number one. And then second one is really around how we make progress as a city, and that's partly about functions of council around the planning mindset. I think we have an ultra-conservative planning mindset in the city, and that's something I'd like to change so that we can be more aspirational, so that we can encourage people to come here, and for good reason. And we can perhaps talk about some of those. I think you've got some questions later around that.
What do you consider to be the core functions of the DCC?
Well, you've got to make sure the toilet flushes, the tap runs, the roads are safe and reasonable. But above that, we've got to make sure that we make good decisions around those things. But then above that again, we've got to make sure that, as I said before, the planning framework supports those activities, but it also supports where we want to go as a city. At the moment, we don't have a roading issue the way that Auckland does. We don't have a property issue the way that Auckland does. But if we don't plan properly for growth, and I'm talking about productive growth, I'm not talking about willy-nilly sort of growth. We could end up with those sorts of problems, and we're in a great position now to do those things right.
How do you feel that the current council is performing?
I think we as ratepayers and people that live here, I think we deserve better performance out of our core services, and I think we deserve better performance out of our investments. I know there's a bit of talk about debt levels being down below budget, and that's good news. But I think, given the global interest rate environment, it would almost beg a belief if we actually weren't ahead of the game. Interest rates at council level historically around 7%, probably sitting 4 or below. So if we can't pay debt down in that environment, there's something seriously wrong. And I think the other thing that goes to what our debt levels are is what happens with the money that we're spending. So say underspend on water and waste services, sounds like an underspend around landfill. So if we take those things out of the equation or add them back in, what does it look like? So I think on the whole there's some challenges around how we do it, and I think I think there's challenges at the moment around the trust of council and levels of trust within council, and that's something that I think is a key responsibility of leadership is to get that trust up, both in and of council.
What would you do differently if you were mayor?
Well, I think it goes back to the skill set that I've got. So number one, it's about making sure that we bring an appropriate level of commercial rigour to the business of council, and it's the biggest business in town. So we've absolutely got to get it right. It's not a commercial company and it doesn't have a commercial board, but this is our one opportunity to elect the board, the council, and we want to have people that are capable and positive on it. So bring that level of commercial and financial skill and experience that I have to the table. Secondly, focus on leadership, and one of the other candidates suggested last week at a forum that it's not possible to have a team within council, that's just not something that's either possible or even wanted. I just completely disagree with that. I think that we in order for us to actually build culture through that organisation, and I'm really talking about aiming for a performance culture, one where we all describe council as being helpful. We need the right culture, and to have the right culture we need to have the right leadership, and right leadership's about having that team, the team at the top being tight, all feeling like we're heading in the same direction, that individual voices are being heard and listened to, and that we're really leading by example.
So what would you say is the most important function of the mayor?
Well, I think it's to lead. you know, it's really to actually get all of those things right. So to lead, pull that team together. You know, if we talk about, you know, within council and across the city, we've got to make sure that we are making good decisions, and ultimately responsibility for that sits with the mayor and via him, the council, and then through into the organisation. You know, traditional sort of governance themes, you know, the council's responsibility is to set strategy and direction, and then through the chief executive and their staff have that properly executed, making sure that we hold the chief executive and their management to account so that they're actually performing as we expect them to. And then, as I said before, you know, making sure that there's a governance culture or a good constructive culture across the organisation. So that's within council, and then the other bit really is about making sure that when we engage with others outside of the city, we're actually doing that in a sensible way. You know, you want the Prime Minister to be able to want to pick up the phone if you need to ring him on something or her on something. So I think it's about making sure that we're actually representing the city well, professionally, and are doing that in a credible way.
Do you have the skills to lead the council?
Absolutely I do. I had this, you know, I wouldn't be standing for the mayor if I didn't believe I was the right person for the job. I'm doing this because I firmly believe that we need a different style of leadership. We need more effective decision making. We need better performance. And we need to make progress. People that talk to me, that's really the two things they say. You know, we want to see better decisions coming from council. We want to trust them more, and we want to start feeling like we're making progress as a city. And you know, the feedback that I have from people that know me well and the people that are getting to know me is that I'm the right person to do that.
And very quickly, Barry, where do you think Dunedin's future lies?
Oh look, I think, you know, we've got a whole heap of wonderful positives that make this a great place to live. I do appreciate though that for a number of people, Dunedin probably isn't that much fun. You know, if they're not making quite enough money, or they're worried about their homes, whether they're going to stay dry or if they're going to be warm enough, worried about their kids and their futures, jobs and opportunities. So my view is that, you know, we need to aim for some productive growth within the city, and that's saying yes, more people, and with more businesses as a result. And a good example of that is the next 10 years we're going to have a number of people retiring from local business, so we need people that can actually take over the reins of those businesses and ensure that people don't lose their jobs, those businesses don't close down, as well as bringing, you know, a fresh mindset and elsewhere perspective so that we can actually trade more with the world.
Dunedin City Mayoral candidate Barry Timmins, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Rebecca.
After the break on the South Today, a fisherman is winched to safety as his boat burns, and we'll take a look at tomorrow's weather.
Silberhorn's Collagen Plus naturally supports your collagen levels, giving you younger, firmer looking skin, healthier, shinier hair and stronger nails. Be quick, buy one now and get a second pack half price. Call 0800 502 402.
We're a 25 Moray Place at Dog with Tails Cafe and Bar. So we take coffee very seriously. We do what's called contract roasting, so we're creating our own roasting profile and then doing our own blends. We're really focused on the craft of what we're doing. You know, we're going back, instead of going on mass-produced sort of cheap things, we're taking the time to really craft what we're making. Make it so anyone can come here and have a feed and be able to get something they're able to eat or that they want to eat as well. You're kind of getting a taste of cafes from all around the world when you come here.
Mobility Solutions Centre Dunedin provides products to improve your independence, comfort and safety. Contact the team at 4777 195 or visit mobilitysolutioncentre.co.nz.
We need your help to rebuild our animal centre urgently. Please give a little today.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Welcome back. A Port Chalmers fisherman is recovering from an ordeal near Hayward Point, where he was rescued after leaping from a burning vessel. The recreational fisherman grounded the boat on rocks before leaping to safety and was flown to Dunedin Hospital with moderate injuries. He got into trouble off Hayward Point just before noon. The bay where he leapt off the boat is surrounded by cliffs, thwarting a land rescue. The Otago Regional Rescue helicopter was sent to the scene and the man was winched to safety. Authorities have been dealing with the burning wreck and are planning to tow it to higher ground. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. King's High School pupils have been participating in a unique art project based on the solar system and movements in relation to the sun. A Gore driver is gearing up for his first Silver Fern rally, which is overnighting in the town for the first time in almost 50 years. And Gibston Valley Winery is starting a multi-million-dollar expansion to cater for visitor growth in the wider Queenstown area. It's time now to find out what's going to be inside tomorrow's Otago Daily Times, and we're joined by Phil Somerville. Good evening.
Hi Rebecca. Fresh pages tomorrow. Cooking for Charity book's being launched in Dunedin tomorrow. Recipes people like Alison Shanks and Graham Sidney. Wanaka's now a town. Story about it approaching $1 million average house price. It's all getting rather scary, isn't it? More on the dramatic rescue. Stephen Jackery, our illustrations editor, was out there with the camera and video, and that helicopter rollover in Queenstown yesterday. Picture of that helicopter. It was very fortunate. No one was, well, there were only very minor injuries. And I thought I'd finally mention meningococcal disease. Some good news that a young woman from Wanaka who was in a coma seems to be right now, and there is a meeting tonight on the issue at the Mount Aspiring College.
That is good news. That's all in tomorrow's ODT plus more. Thank you, Phil. Time now for tomorrow's weather.
The South Today weather update proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorns Emu Oil.
Here is the southern view. It's taken of Alhambra Park in Dunedin. To the situation, the airflow is tending northwesterly and will remain so tomorrow, increasing on Thursday and Friday. And we're expecting some cloud with westerlies for all of these towns and a high of 14 degrees. Some cloud for Wanaka with a high of 15 degrees. And some cloud for Omarama and Twizel, both on 15 degrees tomorrow. And Dunedin tonight, fine with a low of 2 degrees. Tomorrow, also fine, light nor'easters and a high of 14. And on Thursday, sunny periods with nor'westers freshening 18 degrees. And in Invercargill tonight, fine with a low of 0. Tomorrow, sunny periods and westerly winds with 15 degrees. And on Thursday, high cloud increasing with northerlies freshening and some rain may develop at night, a high of 17. And that's news from around the south. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.